I knew it was only a matter of time before Brian Hartline would get an opportunity elsewhere. And I think that Ohio State fans probably knew that as well. Somebody was going to give him a chance to be a head coach, and it appears that the USF Bulls are that team. Now, the big question for Ohio State is who is going to replace Hartline as the offensive coordinator? The nice thing for Ohio State is they can pick a number of people. Now, some of the coordinators are taking head coaching opportunities, so that list is a little bit smaller than maybe what it once was at the beginning of the year. But there are still plenty of opportunities for guys to come in and plenty of names on this list. Now, the one that is maybe the most obvious is that Ryan Day can just assume the play calling duties. I don't necessarily know if he's going to do that. We've seen obviously some things that suggest maybe he won't. Maybe he'll just give it to someone else. But also we've seen that he is clearly the reason why this team's had so much success offensively. Now, whoever is taking over is going to have Jeremiah Smith. That's always going to be a perk, a bonus. It's going to make their life a lot easier. They also get to take over the Julian Sayin project, if you will, a project that is going very well. Julian Sayin is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. So Ryan Day could just decide that he's going to take that over. Depending on how things go, we'll see. Now, the first name is a familiar name that I put on this list, Chip Kelly, not working out in the NFL. I really hope he just gives the NFL a rest, just moves on from that dream because it's just not working. I think he's a great offensive coordinator in college football. Now, whether or not Ohio State would take him back, that is a big question, but that is a great offensive mind who only wants to be a play caller. He only wants to be a coordinator. He doesn't want to be the head coach. So there's no threat to Ryan Day at all. Even Ryan Day doesn't really have any threats because of how he's doing, but there's no threat of Chip Kelly wanting to take his job or really go anywhere else for a head coaching opportunity. And the list of schools that he'd leave to be an OC is also very small. So Chip Kelly is an obvious name to me to bring up right away. A name that I think could have a massive effect on this offense is Buster Faulkner, one of the best offensive coordinators in college football. You look at the work he's done with Haynes King and think about what you could do when you go from that offense with the talent level it has and give him the talent level of Ohio State. You're telling me that he's not going to be able to figure that out? That could be very dangerous for the rest of the Big Ten. And it's already very dangerous. You give them a coordinator like Buster Faulkner, that is a game changer to me. That is very dangerous. And I think a name to keep an eye on there if he's not going to take a head coaching opportunity. Mike Shanahan at Indiana. Now, Indiana is competing with Ohio State right now for the Big Ten championship and chance to get the first overall seed in the college football playoff. But Ohio State probably has a little bit more attraction than Indiana for coaching opportunities. Now, Shanahan has come up with Cignetti, so there is some loyalty there, but maybe he's looking for a bigger opportunity. Ohio State could give him that. And when you look at the success that this team's had with him calling the shots, that is a name to keep an eye on there. Another one to keep an eye on at Notre Dame is Mike Denbrock, one of the better offensive coordinators that we don't really talk about a ton. Again, I think that he's pretty loyal to Marcus Freeman. There's a good connection there, but maybe he wants to take over an offense like this. Notre Dame has plenty of talent itself, but maybe that's a guy that Ohio State is probably going to reach out to some people that aren't going to take the job and aren't interested in coming to Ohio State, but they are still going to make a run at some of those guys. Denbrock is a good offensive coordinator who knows how to get his playmakers the football, and that's exactly what Ohio State needs that person to do when they take over this offense. Other names to keep an eye on that I think would be very interesting. Mac Leftwich at Texas Tech is doing great things. I think that he is a great mind when it comes to calling plays, and it really just comes down to fit. I think that he's done a great job of adapting to the personnel issues that Texas Tech inherited coming into the year, and the rushing attack has been a surprise. I think that a lot of people expected this group to be very pass heavy, but the rushing attack with Cameron Dickey and Jacoby Williams has been great. So you're looking at a guy who knows how to call the right plays, whether it's running the ball, throwing the ball, could be an opportunity for him to take this job. Another guy in that same state is Kendall Briles at TCU. Kendall Briles is one of the more forgotten about coordinators, and I think that he does a great job with the talent that he has. TCU doesn't have the talent of Ohio State, and the fact that Kendall Briles can get his guys to play at the level that they do speaks to his abilities as a coordinator. So that is another name to keep an eye on. Kirby Moore at Missouri, kind of a similar thing where you're getting underrated talent to compete at a high level. And Missouri's done a lot of good things the last couple of years. They've developed their quarterbacks very well. Kirby Moore is going to be high on a lot of people's list, but again, he's done a great job at Missouri. He might want to stick around there with Eli Drinkwitz. Drinkwitz was on a number of coaching boards, and he decided to stick with Missouri. They have a good thing going there, so it might be a little bit harder to get him to leave. Now, some other names that I don't necessarily know how likely they'd be, but Shannon Dawson, I think, is someone you at least would give a call to and see the interest level. He's at Miami, so he might be satisfied with where he's at. Maybe Miami feels that they're on the same level as Ohio State, but that's a name I would at least consider. Shannon Dawson has done a great job of calling plays the last few years, and when you look at his resume as an offensive coordinator, he clearly knows what he's doing. It just comes down to who fits the best with Ryan Day. Shannon Dawson could be that guy. Now, two a little bit more out there names that I put on here. Jimmy Doherty at Washington. I think he's done an incredible job the last couple of years with calling or being at Washington and what he's done in his coaching career. I think that he could be an interesting name that's kind of flying under the radar. But I think that the hard part with putting this list together is that Ohio State's maybe not necessarily looking for under the radar. They're looking for someone who is proven, elite, and knows what they're doing, ready to inherit a lot more stress than maybe what they currently have. So that might not be an option. Joe Moorhead at Akron. I think that the fact that he's at Akron maybe taints people's perception of him, but his is a good offensive mind. He has the right idea when it comes to play calling. And when you look at his history, the teams that he has been offensive coordinator for, there is a great opportunity for him to take over at Ohio State and be the play caller that Ryan Day trusts. I think that that is maybe a little bit more out there. People are going to look at him at Akron and just automatically assume that he can't do it. But he's already in the state. He already understands the talent level that's in the state where Ohio State likes to recruit. It's just that he gets to actually pick some of the guys that he wants instead of just finding diamonds in the rough at Akron. I feel like his days are numbered at Akron anyways, even though he's had success over the last couple of years, at least improved, maybe not a ton of success, but he has improved that program. Still a great offensive mind. Go back and look at some of the offenses that he's had in the past. That could be another name to keep an eye on. But Ohio State has plenty of options, plenty of opportunities for guys to take over a great program and take over an elite offense with elite talent. Anybody that wants to coach Jeremiah Smith is going to love what they're going to get with this offense. Yes, there's going to be high stress, high expectations. Working with Ryan Day is going to require that person to compete and coach at an elite level. But it's a great opportunity for a program that is one of the best in college football. They are a national championship contender year in and year out. And Ohio State's going to have plenty of options to pick from to replace Brian Hartline.